This is the Aqara G400 doorbell camera, and I've been testing it out to see if it could compete with my current doorbell, the Nest 3rd generation video doorbell. And at the time of this video, the G400 is only $99, and without any sales, the Nest doorbell is $179. So the real question isn't just which one is better, but is it worth paying another $80 for the Nest? As usual, I'm not going to spend time reading specs to you. Instead, I'm going to compare what it's actually like to live with these doorbells day to day. And keep in mind, these two doorbells aren't exactly aimed at the same buyer. The Nest is a Wi-Fi doorbell focused on a simple, mainstream experience and goes really well with the Google ecosystem. The G400 works as a Wi-Fi doorbell if you want to keep it simple, but it can also connect using power over Ethernet and offers lots of features that are aimed at advanced smart home users. And that difference is going to matter throughout this comparison. Let's get into this. I don't want to waste your time. Let's talk about the design and build. Now, I know beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but it seems like Google put a lot of thought into designing the Nest doorbell. It looks and feels premium, it's so thin, and it comes in several different colors. The G400 is much larger, it's very plain, just a big black rectangle, and it feels a lot lighter and more hollow in the hand. Not that you're going to be holding your doorbell. They're not too far apart in length, but the Nest is significantly slimmer. Now, of course, this is only aesthetics, but I personally prefer the way the Nest looks on the outside of my house. So the Nest wins in this category. Look at that glow. I will mention that Aqara did send me this doorbell for free to review, and as you can probably tell, that does not influence my opinion at all. All of my reviews are honest, straightforward, and no BS. And if that's important to you, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel. Thanks, and let's continue. As far as installing them, they're pretty similar. These are both wired versions. There's no battery. So if you're doing a normal installation, they both come with installation hardware. It's a couple of anchors with screws. It's very easy to install it on a wall. I even have a brick wall and it wasn't that difficult. They both come with a little wedge angle adapter in case you want to have your camera sitting in an angle, which I used for both of them. And as far as the wiring goes, it's really just the same doorbell wiring that a regular doorbell will have. And the installation process is very similar for both of them. That said, the Aqara has one feature the Google doesn't have, which is PoE, or power over Ethernet. So instead of using your existing doorbell wiring along with Wi-Fi, you would run an Ethernet cable that provides both the power and the connectivity. Now this provides a good number of advantages if you're a smart home power user, and I'll go over that more later, but to do this you will have to have an Ethernet cable running to your doorbell. And this is where it becomes clear that these two doorbells are aimed at somewhat different buyers. The Nest is built around that simple plug-and-play Google Home experience. The G400 costs less, but it gives users advanced options such as PoE, local recording, RTSP, ONVIF, or ONVIF if you will. So throughout this entire review, I'm really judging these doorbells in two different ways. Okay, now the fun part, which is the video. First of all, there's a huge difference in the aspect ratio. A lot of companies like Aqara like to focus on the head-to-toe aspect ratio so you can see the entire person, a package on the ground. But the Nest doorbell goes much wider, but not at the expense of head-to-toe. And this is ridiculous. Look at this package that was left on my porch. The Aqara can't even see it. And of course, the entire portion of my house in front of my garage. So the field of view between the two is like night and day. And of course, this depends on your situation. You may not need it to go that wide. But for me, this is important, and I don't see how I'm going to be able to shrink my aspect ratio by switching to the Aqara. For you, it may be a different story. As far as the clarity goes, I have to say the Aqara does beat the Google from my experience. I spent a lot of time looking at both the videos, zooming in, zooming out, and the Aqara is very clear and crisp, and I do think it has an edge there. However, for night shots, I found that the Google is actually a little bit clearer for me. And of course, there's the overall performance and notifications and AI and all that good stuff. If you do have a video doorbell, you may feel that notifications can get kind of annoying. And of course, you can change and tweak settings to make it fit your lifestyle. Like, I don't like to get notified of any type of motion, and I don't want to know about every vehicle that drives by. Both doorbells allow you to set an activity zone, so you can only be notified of things inside the activity zone and not outside of it. And everything having to do with the recordings and notifications is done much better by Google. And I guess their software and ecosystem is just more mature. In addition, I only want to be notified of certain things, like people, animals, packages, and it's much easier to customize this in Google. In Aqara, I shut off vehicles, it still notifies me about vehicles anyway. I have so many vehicle notifications, it's disgusting. And get this, I get tons of alerts, and the alert says, no obvious activity. And it's like, okay, why are you buzzing my phone at 10 p.m. to say no obvious activity. You open the camera, nothing's going on. And I've been spending a ton of time trying to customize my notifications and events and all that. And unfortunately, the Aqara software just isn't at the same level as Google. And this matters a lot if you're using Aqara's app for notifications and recordings. It matters much less if you're feeding the camera into your own system, because then you're replacing a lot of those features with your own software. Now, let's say you're a power user that's hooking this up via PoE, and you're gonna route it through your smart home like Home Assistant. This may not matter to you. You might be replacing it with something like Frigate anyway. And the G400 is also compatible with HomeKit, and you can actually just have Apple Home be sending you your notifications instead. However, for my testing, I think using the Nest Doorbell along with Google Home is still a much better experience than using the G400 with HomeKit. Now, of course, both have AI features. Let's start with facial recognition. I've been using this for a while with Google, and it's nice because you can go through all of the faces that it detects and assign them to somebody. And it's pretty good, but it does make mistakes. Like, it'll tell me it sees a specific person, but it's somebody else. Or it'll confuse my two sons, which do look similar, but it has gotten better. It used to confuse them all the time, now it's just every once in a while. Now, the Aqara, at least for me, does not offer up any faces. I don't seem to be able to add any faces from the video history, but it allows me to upload my own pictures, which is kind of annoying. I mean, I could do that for my family, of course, but if I have frequent visitors, I'm not gonna take a picture of them just so I can upload it to the doorbell. I believe it's supposed to have that feature, but I can't get it to work. However, after uploading my picture, it does recognize me quite often. And with both doorbells, sometimes they recognize me and sometimes they don't. Now, I did make an earlier video on the Nest, and there were a couple of really cool things. Like, it informed me that a squirrel was eating my pumpkin. That was pretty cool. And when it gave me my daily summary, it included that there was an animal spotted on my porch early in the morning, which happened to be a coyote. And of course, Google is using Gemini, and using the Google Home app, you could just ask it questions about what the doorbell saw. Now, Aqara has this weird premium AI events section, and you can select it to notify you about a list of very weird things. Like a baby. Oh, yeah, there's a baby on my porch. Someone wearing a hat. Animal poop and pee. Better turn that one on. A reindeer, a marmot. It's weird that it's singling out random animals. I'm pretty sure an otter isn't going to be on my front porch. So with both of these systems, AI is a thing and it's pretty cool. It's just that Google, powered by Gemini, does it much better. And keep in mind that a lot of these features are behind subscriptions. I'm not really going to go into the pricing because these things change, and Google has bundles. Like, I have a Google One subscription, so I had to pay less for this add-on than you might if you don't. And since both Google Home and Aqara Home have multiple products, these subscriptions won't just pertain to these doorbells. So if you have a lot of Google products or a lot of Aqara products, one of these subscriptions may make more sense to you than the other. Of course, we should talk about what happens when somebody presses the doorbell button, because that's pretty important. Now, first of all, the G400 actually comes with a chime, so you could stick this anywhere and you'll hear the doorbell ring. The Nest comes with this little chime puck that goes inside your old school chime box. You know, that thing that when you press the doorbell, it goes ding dong. Now, I personally don't use this. I don't have a chime box. Apparently you need it. I'm not recommending you don't use it, but I don't use it and it's fine. I happen to have about 6 or 7 Google speakers, and when somebody rings my Nest doorbell, it rings on the speakers that I choose it to ring on, and it displays the live video on my Nest Hub Max. And it's pretty cool because you can see the live video, you can see what the person is doing, you can press a button to talk to them, have a conversation, and that's actually the main reason I got the Nest in the first place. With the Aqara, I actually have their thermostat, and when somebody rings the G400 doorbell, a still image of them appears on the thermostat pretty instantly. And since I have the Aqara door lock as well, I can actually hit the unlock button and unlock the door for them. And of course, you'll be notified through the app on your phone. And I will say that the behavior's a little different. With the Nest, I get a notification, I open it up, and I can see the live view with the doorbell. And if I want, I can talk to them, have a conversation. With the Aqara, my phone actually acts like it's ringing. And when I open the Aqara app, it actually has phone controls, and it looks like I'm actually getting a phone call through the Aqara app. And it's nice because you're not gonna miss it when somebody's ringing the doorbell, but at the same time, it is kind of annoying and I'm not really a fan of the behavior, which leads me into the apps themselves. I have the Google Home app not only for the Nest doorbell, but I have tons of devices. I mean, my entire home is in Google Home. With the Aqara, I also have several devices. a doorbell, a door lock, thermostats. Like, I have plenty of Aqara stuff too. And the apps are so different. The Google is so much more simple and minimalistic, and everything's very easy to find. And the Aqara, there's way too much in their app. Now, this is fine for me for the door lock. I think it's great. The thermostat, same thing. But when it comes to the doorbell, just opening it up, there's a lot of different controls right on the front screen. Some of them are labeled, some of them aren't. Then there's 3 dots on the upper right to take you into the settings, and there's tons of other settings. It's a little bit more difficult to navigate. I do like that there's so many settings and so many things you can change because I'm a big fan of customization. But the Google Home app is so much more simple. Everything's laid out so much nicer. It's minimalistic. And there really aren't settings there that I feel that I'm missing. It's one of those apps where you may need to open it up and use it quickly. So I don't want to go too much into the app, but I do prefer using the Google app for the doorbell than the Aqara app for their doorbell. Now, again, all of this ties into your ecosystem. I personally run most of my smart home through Home Assistant. Then I expose many of those devices to Google so I could control them by voice. So as somebody who has 6 or 7 Google Home speakers, the Nest works very well for me. And keep in mind, the Nest can go through Home Assistant as well with an integration. So I can open up Home Assistant and see my Nest doorbell feed. That said, the Aqara has a lot more flexibility. You could just use it with the Aqara app if you'd like. And again, for power users, you may be connecting this with power over Ethernet. You may be using something like Home Assistant, RTSP, ONVIF, NVR software. And I'm not going to go into details on this stuff because if you are a power user, you know these terms. But these are industry standards that allow your G400 to work with surveillance software, like Blue Iris or Frigate. And then you can have your own private recording systems that record everything locally. For the right buyer, this can be a bigger advantage than using Google's better app. You can have a wired connection, record everything locally, and use your own software for detection and notification. So after all that, how do we figure this out? And is the Nest doorbell worth an extra $80 over the Aqara? It depends what matters most to you. With the Nest, you're getting at least what I think is a much better looking doorbell, which comes in multiple colors and looks really nice on the front of your house. A much wider and more useful aspect ratio that really gets everything you need in front of your door, at least for me. Slightly better night video, more reliable out-of-the-box notifications that are customizable, very strong facial recognition and AI capabilities, an easier app and overall smoother user experience, especially if you're already part of the Google Home ecosystem. And of course it works amazing with the Nest Hub or the Nest Hub Max. Then with the Aqara, at least in my experience, you're getting a crisper, sharper video, especially in the daytime. It comes with a wireless chime, and it gives you much more flexibility in how you choose to use it. The Aqara app, Apple Home, power over Ethernet, RTSP, ONVIF, local recording, Home Assistant, and NVR software. I'm curious to know what you think, or if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I'm also including product links to everything I discussed in the description. And as always, thank you so much for watching.